The final trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey has been screened in theatres in front of Steven Spielberg's Disclosure Day. And minus the IMAX prologue, I think it's the best look we've had at Nolan's film thus far. The footage itself highlights extended moments from shots we've had in the prior trailers, but it also gives us some brand new scenes, including those with Matt Damon's Odysseus, Tom Holland's Telemachus, Anne Hathaway's Penelope, Lupita Nyong'o's Clytemnestra, and also Elliot Page, who looks confirmed to be playing the character of Elpenor. So in this video, I'm going to be giving you my in-depth breakdown and reaction to the final Odyssey trailer, presenting my thoughts on what was seen and what I think about Christopher Nolan's new epic. The trailer has not been officially released online yet, so there won't be any footage from it in this video. Before I get into my breakdown though, if you want to keep up to date on any of my content surrounding Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey, then don't forget to support this upload by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. But without further ado, let's dive into the final trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. So the final trailer for The Odyssey, which was shown in front of Disclosure Day in theatres, is probably the best trailer we've seen for Nolan's movie, giving us an emotional and epic new look at the director's upcoming film. Behind the IMAX prologue, I think this is the best trailer we've had for it so far. It doesn't really feature any new shots of the fantasy elements featured in the film, but it's one that gets to the core emotion of the story more than the other trailers do. It also has probably the best showcase of Ludwig Göransson's score for the film, giving us a taste of some of the ancient instruments that he has used for his score. Now, there was a behind-the-scenes featurette released for his score the other day, and it featured the composer explaining that director Chris Nolan asked him to highlight two specific Greek instruments in the aulos and the lyre. You do hear some of those sounds in this new trailer, and it really does a good job of showcasing the intimacy and humanity in his soundtrack. What I will say is that I think this final trailer feels like the equivalent of the opening look for Oppenheimer that we got back in 2023, and also quite similar to the final trailer released for Tenet back when that film came out too. It feels like the final bit of marketing hype for the movie that really sells why it has to be seen in theatres as a huge cinematic event. A lot of the new trailer is an expansion on scenes we already saw in previous ones, but there are some really interesting new shots and details that can be taken away from the new footage peppered throughout. Coming to that, my first main takeaway is that actress Anne Hathaway looks incredible here, and she seems to be doing a really great job at carrying the emotional weight of the story back in Ithaca. In particular, we get more of her and Tom Holland's Telemachus as they deal with the suitors back home. We see a shot of Telemachus during sword training, and he tells Penelope there that he believes he can take the throne, and Penelope replies to this by saying they're not giving up power to you or Odysseus. She continues by saying, "Do you think life goes back to the way it was, because that world is gone?" During that speech, we get footage of Telemachus running at Eurymachus with a sword in the main hall, and then Eurymachus throwing him onto the ground. Eurymachus is a leading suitor courting Penelope during Odysseus' long absence, and alongside Antinous, he's one of the two men who dominate the group. Moving on from this though, a lot of the other main dialogue featured in this final trailer comes from Zendaya's Athena during her talks with Odysseus. At the very start of the trailer, she says to him, "Odysseus, don't you want to remember? Thunder, fire, death." It's played over the exact same shot of Athena we got before, of her looking over Odysseus as he lies on the shore. Following this though, we do get new shots of Odysseus, Eurylochus, and his crew struggling to survive the storms at sea. As Odysseus replies to Athena about what he remembers, we further get a shot of him walking towards Ithaca, and my guess is that this is a continuation of the shot from the previous trailer where he walks out the door of Eumaeus' hut. It's probably the most gorgeous shot from this final trailer, and it shows the Ithaca palace at dawn and Nolan's approach to practical construction. And as Athena continues speaking a bit later on in this trailer, we get a new shot of her walking alongside Odysseus, which is reminiscent of the behind the scenes shot that came out at the end of last year. She says to Odysseus, "If you had out to kill him, which you will." Odysseus replies to this, "You've got to start speaking ways that we understand." And then leading up to the final montage, which features a lot of the newest footage, Athena replies to this by saying, "Who doesn't understand pain? It's all for blood, the gods told you." So the idea behind this speech from Athena is essentially one that matches a recurring theme in Athena's conversations with Odysseus in Book 13 of Homer's The Odyssey. In Homer's story, she reveals herself and reminds him why his suffering has been so long and so intense. In Book 13, Athena explains why she didn't intervene sooner and why Odysseus endured so much hardship. She emphasizes that Poseidon's anger and Odysseus' destiny have made suffering unavoidable. So in all this, and the quote in the new trailer, Athena is basically saying that pain is a part of Odysseus' story and the gods have already set this path out for him. That path leads through blood and foreshadows his final act of vengeance against the suitors back home. Coming now to the other new shots in the montage at the very end of this final trailer, we get some interesting confirmations, mainly one that I expected and one that I didn't. The expected one comes in a new shot of Elliot Page in Ithacan armor. This confirms that the actor is likely going to be playing Elpenor and not Achilles, as some of those rumours online suggested. Page is wearing the exact same breastplate and leather strap as all of Odysseus' men. And because we've seen the character as one of the dead in the underworld in a previous trailer, it suggests to me that this is in fact Elpenor. Elpenor is one of Odysseus' youngest crew members, and Homer describes him as not very brave in war, nor very wise. He's not a warrior poet like Odysseus, not a loyal lieutenant like Eurylochus, and he's just an ordinary sailor caught up in a mythic journey far bigger than him. His death also happens in the most mundane and heartbreaking way, as after a night of drinking on Circe's island, he falls asleep on her roof, wakes up suddenly, forgets where he is, and falls to his death. There's no glory, no battle, and no divine punishment, it's just a tired young man who made a mistake. Elpenor's story becomes important when Odysseus travels to the underworld, as Elpenor is the first to greet him there. So to me, seeing him alive in this final trailer suggests that this is in fact that character, one that I did predict months ago. Furthermore, the other new footage, which is probably the more unexpected one, is the new shot we get of Lupita Nyong'o, who seems to be playing Clytemnestra. In the footage, we see her being held back and screaming at something that she just witnessed off screen. To me, it looks like we are actually getting the sacrifice of Iphigenia, which is one of the most devastating moments in Greek myth. The Greek fleet is trapped at Aulis, unable to sail to Troy, and the seer Calchas declares that Artemis demands Agamemnon's daughter as payment for the Greeks' earlier offences. What makes the moment so powerful is that it's not simply a father killing his child, it's a leader sacrificing the most intimate part of himself to satisfy a god's anger and preserve his public authority. Iphigenia's tragedy lies in her innocence, as she is lured to Aulis under the false promise of marriage to Achilles, only to discover she is the price of war. Her death stains the Greek cause, and it sets in motion the chain of vengeance that will later consume Agamemnon's household. This sacrifice is the original sin of the Atreid family, the wounds that will echo through Clytemnestra's rage and the entire tragic cycle. The reason that this is interesting is that this moment is not in Homer, which confirms that Nolan may be bringing the work of poet Aeschylus into his adaptation. Aeschylus is one of the three great ancient playwrights, and he wrote plays that explored justice, revenge, the gods' influence on human fate, and the consequences of violence. In the poet's Agamemnon play, he describes the sacrifice of Iphigenia as the original sin that poisons the entire Atreid bloodline. His version is dark, emotional, and morally complex, and it shaped how later writers understood that myth. So his work helps us understand why Agamemnon's homecoming is tragic, why his story is used as a warning to Odysseus, and how Greek audiences would have viewed the themes of loyalty, betrayal, and justice. It's an important moment that I was genuinely surprised was in this final trailer, and I think it shows the depth and work that Nolan is doing with his adaptation. Coming now to the last thing that I noticed in this new footage, we got a quick glimpse of the character of Eurycleia. She's featured in the same shot as the one with Penelope and Mia Goth's Melantho from the previous trailer, but we get an extended version of that, seeing Eurycleia towards the left of the frame. Eurycleia is the old nurse of Odysseus, a woman who has served his family since before he was born. She's technically a servant, but Homer treats her as a second mother, a guardian of the home, and the last living link to Odysseus' childhood. In the story, she remembers his scar and recognizes him when he comes home as the beggar. Now, I was worried that they weren't going to include her character in the film, but the fact that she is there makes me wonder how they are going to present Odysseus as the beggar towards the final act of Nolan's movie. We'll just have to see how they visually present that, but it's good to see that Eurycleia's character is being kept in for the Ithaca part of the narrative, alongside both Penelope and Melantho. But that was my video discussing and breaking down the final trailer for Christopher Nolan's The Odyssey. As a whole, the latest footage offered a thrilling new glimpse at Nolan's film, showcasing more of the sweeping visuals and a strong sense of the tension and emotion tied to Odysseus' journey home. It looks like it's going to feature powerful performances, striking imagery, and a thunderous score by composer Ludwig Göransson. But if you've seen the final trailer for the film in theatres, then let me know down below in the comments section what you thought of all the new footage. For much more videos and breakdowns, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.